I want to set the public record straight. I think it got very skewed with an article by Sharon Noguchi, and I've written some notes, and I'd like to read it, and then I'm done with my report. I was disappointed in the article that appeared in the San Jose Mercury News last Friday on the Blue Ridge Tiny House. This is the project I have been updating the board and public about during my intermittent board reports this last year. The article by Sharon Noguchi was inaccurate and misleading. The real story is all positive. Yet Sharon portrayed the story as negative and taking learning opportunities away from students. Certainly, nothing I or anyone in this office would wish to do. In fact, our advocacy was for more learning opportunities that mirror this one for our community school and adjudicated youth. The work of the teachers and students involved since January 2016 in erecting the tiny house is exemplary. As I told this board after visiting Blue Ridge and seeing the tiny house for the first time last spring, how impressed I was about its quality. After leaving Blue Ridge High School, James Ranch, I called Superintendent Gundry on my cell phone, ecstatic about what I saw and what I felt. I urged us as an office to look at doing more tiny houses while teaching construction-related skills and giving certificates of competence to our students. I advocated for the use of these houses if obstacles could be overcome by our homeless adults and families. The superintendent agreed wholeheartedly to support the concept. Former board member Leon Beachman and I consistently advocated for a move away from the administrative belief that our chief strategic goal for our alternative education students was achievement on state exams. Rather, we believed, and other board members as well, but I thought of Leon when I was writing this, that a program centered around career and technical skills was a proper instructional way to proceed for most of our students. Providing them, for the short time they are in our midst, employable skills was definitely the right path. The tiny house project was a perfect match. President Chang, I wrote that perhaps we can bring career technical education and our alternative education department up as a future agenda item for a longer discussion. The connection between our students and becoming a small part of the homeless solution in the city of San Jose and county of Santa Clara was uplifting, to say the least. Since my visit last spring to Blue Ridge and my subsequent trips to Morgan Hill to view the progress, I was introduced to a passionate agent of social change and justice, Professor Michael Fallon from San Jose State University. Professor Fallon chaired a group of community and student leaders. It's called the Coalition to House the Homeless. Since May 2016, I've been attending coalition meetings. Professor Fallon was mentioned in the article by Sharon Noguchi. Here is what he wrote to Sharon this week. I have his permission to read this. The story casts a negative light on a truly positive endeavor, that the juveniles were building a tiny house that is to be a catalyst for moving city, county, water district to see the potential of tiny house villages for the homeless. The underlying story is that the San Jose State Coalition to House the Homeless has advocated for 2 years to create transitional housing villages, reference AB 2176, to shelter the homeless. Yet government has not acted with diligence nor urgency. Further, Michael Fallon writes, believing that there would be a need for more tiny houses, Trustee DiSalvo was advocating for funding the juveniles to continue building tiny houses. What details, he continues to go on to Sharon, what details I did not offer in our talk was the arrangements are already being made to have the juveniles come to San Jose State University for the VIP reception, to share their experience of building this tiny house for the homeless and participate in the ribbon cutting. Longer range plans were to have the San Jose State University design and engineering students interact with the juveniles in future buildings, acting as mentors of sorts. That was what Michael said to Sharon. Now, my words to the office. Now a few words from me about Dr. Steve Olmos and his strong leadership with this laudable project. Dr. Olmos convened the group of community and school leaders about tiny houses and the Blue Ridge Tiny House, etc., on October 2016. It was a very successful meeting. At the meeting were representatives from Eastside Union High School District, Habitat for Humanity, San Jose State University, the Creeks Coalition, the Blue Ridge Principal, Steve Preminger from the county, and Richard McMurtry. who is with the Creeks Coalition. And Richard, after that meeting, came up with a proposal to, once this tiny house is finished, we thought in November of 2016 at the time, that maybe it could become a catalyst, as Michael said earlier, in villages for the homeless. One house for one person, and he came up with a proposal. That person was Amanda Fukumoto, who was recognized in a front page story in the Mercury News in August 2016 for front page story, for cleaning. She's homeless today as we speak. She's been living out with her husband in the rain in a tent by the creek about maybe a quarter mile from where we're sitting. So when he came up with that proposal, it made sense to me. That would be the tiny house that would go to some property, some government agency that we'd sell, as Superintendent Gundry agreed, for $1. And it would be to honor her work in organizing the homeless to clean the creeks. The Blue Ridge tiny house completion date kept moving due to a myriad of issues. Originally it was June 2016, then September 2016, then December 2016, then February 2016. San Jose State University volunteered to help finish the construction in the electrical, gas, and plumbing areas where teachers and students did not have the requisite skills or credential. That said, the Office of Education and the leadership by John Gundry, Steve Olmus, and earlier by Mark Scavarna kept the vision alive, even with all the obstacles. More convenings on tiny houses, our students and the homeless have happened here at the SCCOE. The next one is next week, March 9th. The tiny house will be completed due to the leadership of this office, coupled with cooperation from probation, and the delivery of that tiny house for the showcase involving our students who originally built the tiny house is scheduled for March 29th. The VIP reception, which I hope you will come to, and ribbon cutting will take place on Thursday, April 6th at 10 a.m. on the San Jose State University campus. So thank you very much for the opportunity for me to set what I believe is a skewed public record by the article Sharon Noguchi wrote in the San Jose Mercury News last Friday.